have 10 minutes for your presentation and 5 minutes of a Q&A session. Now, I've just been informed that Dr. Siti and also Ms. Anna, you will need at least 30 minutes for your presentation. Is that correct?
Yes, because there'll be both of us presenting. Thank you.
Okay, all right, noted. That'll be. And for the participants, we'll much appreciate if you could also turn on your videos and mute your microphone during the presentation. And last but not least, participants are also encouraged to post questions in the chat room, or you can also ask the questions directly during the Q&A session. Now, without further ado, I'd like to invite our first two speakers of the session, Dr. Siti Rohani Muhammad Yusof and Anarika Smolanda from Kodarit Coding School, Malaysia, and who will present on the topic of innovative ICT education in early education, building young talents for the digital world. Dr. and Ms., the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I've got someone in the background playing the slides. I believe he's here already, but we'd like to have the slides on right now. If you can check whether he's allowed in, he's gone in actually. Is there any slides in the background? How does, he's playing in the background.
Hi, good evening. Doctor, I think I need the access. I need the access.
Yeah. Give me a second. Yes, it's done.
All right, good. Thank you very much. All right then. Wonderful. Okay, so, right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm speaking from Kodarit School. Basically, me and my colleagues who are from Finland and Estonia are here with us today. And we are presenting two papers, basically. I'll be presenting paper one, and my other colleague will be preparing or presenting paper two. Let me introduce them to you. Let's get on to the second slide, please. Can we get on to the second slide? All right. Right. I'll be talking about the fourth industrial revolution and impacts on education and the workforce. This morning, there are a lot of discussion about the theoretical aspect, academic aspect. Well, I can say that we are more into the practical aspect, talking on behalf of business corporations, institutions, who are actually, they are the ones who are going to be affected, affected by the kind of education system, the teaching that is being carried out in schools as well as in universities. They are basically very much into 4.0 industrial revolution because they are forced to do it as the whole world is being disrupted by technology advancement, and there's no other way apart from adopting technology and to be able to do their job productively. So I will be talking from the perspective of the business corporations, manufacturing organizations, of which I have a lot of experience in. So basically, I'll be talking about Education 4.0 framework and the fourth industrial revolution, innovative education skills and learning, workforce transformation, coding, the game changer. We are actually a coding school, and we have networks across the globe. And my colleague, Anarika Smolanda, she's an expert in pedagogy, and she'll be talking about ICT education in early childhood, innovative pedagogy models, digital literacy, coding and STEM skills, a Finnish pedagogy model, innovative learning platforms, building talented future workforce. And of course, the next paper is going to be presented by Associate Professor Ollie Pekas Moranda, who is our colleague. Also, both Anna and Ollie are very significant or key contributors to our courses in CODARID. So she's going to talk about education and skills for the future. So it's basically on current trends and research in digitalization, innovation, digital education, critical skills for the digital economy, digitalization, and the future workforce, very much from the academic and research perspective. All right, we'll move on to the next slide. All right, fourth industrial revolution. We're not in the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution. We're almost towards the sunset because of the rapid changes in technology globally. We are almost into 5.0 IR. But the question is our education system ready, actually, or are we there already, or have not? Have we actually, transformed our educational system to be able to cope and to complement with 4IR, going on to 5IR? Have we? Are we? Well, there's a lot of discussion about this subject this morning, particularly in the first few papers, but we are talking about, let's get on with business. We are the organization. Business have got to move on, like it or not. We must have the right people to work for us. Now, a lot of organizations basically are spending a lot of money on reskilling. Why do they have to do that? Because our education system, right from primary school to college and to universities, are not really preparing our people for IR. Yeah, and we've got to catch up. We've got to be fast. Otherwise, we'll be losing out in terms of our economy. Of course, we already have this policy where we talk about national digital economy. We're talking about that. Certainly, because we have no choice as a country, Malaysia, we have to go. We have got to go along with the global economy, the global digital economy. We've got no choice. And companies, businesses from particularly large organizations are already adopting or already into the fourth IR. And some of them are very equipped, particularly the multinationals. But I'm not sure about the SMEs, though, so very lagging in it. Nevertheless, what we're saying is it is so urgent now, it's so critical that from the perspective of organizations, we certainly have not got the right manpower, the right skills to be able to carry out the duties for the businesses. Okay. Now, basically, we're talking about fourth industrial revolution. We're talking about digitalization, integration of the value chains. We're talking about digitalization, digital business models and customer access, and digitalization of products and service offerings in relation to the various technological advancements in the background, talking about autonomous robots, simulation, horizontal and vertical system integration, industrial Internet of Things, augmented reality, additive manufacturing, the cloud, and cybersecurity, big data analytics. And I can tell you, these are not theoretical. These are real. These are real, and they are being performed, and they are, they are actually part of the organization system, an integral part of the organization system. So the organizations basically, particularly in Malaysia, whilst we are trying to compete with the world economy, we want to elevate ourselves to adopt the digital economy. There's a lot of work to be done, and particularly from the through the education system. Let's get on with the next one, please. Next slide. Next slide. Right now, workforce transformation. There's a huge gap. There's a huge gap in terms of what the businesses wants, what organizations, what companies, what industry wants, and what we have. Now, why is that? Because there are four factors that actually drive this transformation. Obviously, the drivers of change are technological advancements, high-speed mobile internet. Do we have high-speed mobile internet yet? Not sure about that. We're supposed to have 5G, right? Artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and cloud technology. We have some of them going already, yeah? And depending on where we live in Kuala Lumpur, the big city, we have the advantage of high-speed mobile internet and AI and using cloud technology without being interrupted. Now, the trends in robotization, stationary robots are being used, like it or not, yeah? And now fully automated aerial drones, machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence is the name, I mean, it's basically, you know, is something that we are into. Organizations, you know, there's a system, there's a thing they have in the organization in relation to get on with the businesses, whether in the industries or whether from the commercial side. Now, emerging in-demand roles. Now, the jobs now are not the same as the jobs that we have in the last 5 years. They're different. The roles and the functions are different, and certainly competencies requirements are different. The education background, you know, in terms of their preferable education background are different because of the rapid change in the industry in relation to the Industrial Revolution 4 and almost 5. And what we require in organizations, in us industries, are basically data analysts and scientists, software and applications developers, and e-commerce and social media specialists, to name a few. So gone are those days where we have different sets of jobs, and what people are, our companies are looking for, industries are looking for, the jobs that they are very much in demand. Now, is the college, university, are the schools ready for this? Have they actually integrate the skills and the teaching and learning, taking into consideration these key factors? That's something that we can think about. Now, growing skills and stability. Jobs, because of the new technologies, trends have disrupted business models, machines are transforming current job profiles. Basically, jobs are unstable. I mean, unstable. We do not know whether the job will exist next year, you know. But there are a lot of jobs that have actually gone out, and more jobs coming in, but they're different nature of jobs, different competencies, different knowledge, different experiences. Right, we'll move on to the next one. Excuse me. Now, the World Economic Forum, basically, they've actually come up with the Education 4.0 framework to try to identify key, if not critical, characteristics of what the IR4 requires. So what they do is they have a lot of they invite, the World Economic Forum actually invites experts to sit down and think, and of course in the process they do surveys, and at the end of the day this is the result. They have identified 8 characteristics in relation to the models, the education models or framework that is required to complement 4IR. Yeah. Now, one aspect is the content, which is a built-in mechanism for skills adaptation. Now, firstly, global citizenship skills. Now, what they recommend is to include content that focus on building awareness about the wider world, sustainability, and playing an active role in the global community. And then they recommend also innovation and creativity skills to include content that fosters skills required for innovation, including complex problem solving, analytical thinking, creativity, and systems analysis. technology skills to include content that is based on developing digital skills, including programming, digital responsibility, and the use of technology. And interpersonal skills to include content that focuses on interpersonal emotional intelligence, which is basically empathy, cooperation, negotiation, leadership, and social awareness. On the right side, experience, which is leveraging on innovative pedagogies. And this is where my colleague Anna, she's an expert in pedagogy, and she'll be sharing with us afterwards. But what it says here is personalized and self-paced learning from a system where listening is standardized to one based on the diverse individual needs of each learner. I beg your pardon. From a system where learning is standardized to one based on the diverse individual needs of each learner and flexible enough to enable each learner to progress at their own pace. Accessible and inclusive learning from a system where learning is confined to those with access to school buildings to one in which everyone has access to learning and is therefore inclusive. Problem-based and collaborative learning from process-based to project and problem-based content delivery, requiring peer collaboration and more closely mirroring the future work. The lifelong and student-driven learning from a system where learning and skilling decreases over one's lifespan to one where everyone continuously improves on existing skills and acquires new ones based on their individual needs. So these 8 characteristics are very, very critical in relation to education innovation, which has to be installed in the education system and integrated to prepare and also to complement and support the needs of the 4IR, right? Next slide, please. Okay, so education skills and learning in based on 4IR. Well, these are the key areas that needs to be focused as recommended by the World Economic Forum. Digital fluency and STEM skills, right? They have identified this. Education innovation, core soft skills, quality basic education, which talks about workforce employment, basic human rights, and lifelong learning pathway, relevant continuing education. Well, I mainly just run through this because there's a lot of explanation to do, which we don't have the time to do. Can we get on to the next slide, please? All right, so let's get back to coding. So why coding? Why are we in the business of coding? Because it's very fundamental. It's so important. Our young generation, right from kindergarten, 3-year-old, right up to the middle secondary school, they must be given the chance to learn how to code. And why? Well, many reasons. Basically, what we talk about the gap in terms of knowledge and skills for the digital economy actually boils down to basic education right from kindergarten. So basically, coding is about building skills for future innovators, not necessarily just future innovators, for future workforce. Yeah. So what does coding do? The research have actually proven that coding actually help to build up, develop a certain mindset where children are more, they are more analytical, they are more logical, they are more structured. They can solve problems through a very structured manner. Something which we learn, basically at work. Basically, adults actually. I remember those days we go for training, decision making, problem solving, those kind of things. But the children now exposed through coding, through the methodology, through the science of coding. And through all the contents that are included in the coding subjects, what it does at the end of the day to help the young minds, to actually develop, to become very, very advanced in, and some, where we would require this skills and competencies for our digital workforce, and certainly for academic purposes or career paths. So coding helps with develop creativity and innovation. Coding is about creativity and certainly is about innovation. It helps to develop problem-solving skills, helps to develop verbal and written skills, because coding is about learning the computer language, and therefore, when we talk about language, it's obviously got to do with verbal and written skills. Certainly computational skills from coding as a starting point, they actually get on to programming and Python and more complex, and it would be very easy for those kids who actually started with coding. Certainly critical thinking skills, logical decision-making abilities, STEM skills. I mean, right now, based on the reports that I've read in terms of Malaysian students, students are lagging in terms of STEM skills, right? Well, coding, where basically through the teaching of codings, children become more, they are become clever, so to say. They are able to understand better science, technology, engineering, maths, and they build their skills, right? And certainly the entrepreneurial abilities, of course, right? And they do not just take risks for the sake of taking risks, but it's calculated risk at that young age, because our coding programs are structured from baby coder, right, which is the kindergarten stage, right up to the black belt, the 5th level. And that actually goes right up to the middle secondary school. Now, through the learning process, at the end of the day, students who go through this coding courses will be ready for moving on to university to become to be more involved in their career in relation to in their studies, basically, in relation to become computer science, computer engineers and ICT experts and so on. Of course, for those who decide not to go to tertiary education, they want to go to work in industries. Well, the HR manager will greet them with open arms. Why? Because they already learn about coding. They know about digitalization. They're ready for the job, and they will just get into the industries and get on with the work without wasting much time, like having to send them for some training, or which companies are spending hundreds, if not millions, of ringgit to reskill the existing adult workforce. So this is what coding does to kids. And we hope we are able, through our education system, innovative education system, we're able to build this kind of generation, which is basically, some are already into it, some are already doing, some are already preparing, some parents are already preparing, but they are actually, they are rich parents who pay so much, and these are actually provided for in international schools, well, foreign international schools. All right, but not for our ordinary school children from public schools. You know, they have not had the chance yet. Right, shall we go on to the next one then? Okay, now look at that. The greatest game changer of the century, coding. All right, Mark Zuckerberg. He's the one who founded Facebook. Bill Gates, who founded Microsoft. Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They co-founded Google. Now Van Rossum, they invent Python programming language. Elon Musk is my favorite guy. He's the founder, CEO, and chief engineer at SpaceX, CEO and product architect of Tesla, and co-founder of Neuralink and OpenAI, and all other things as well. So remember, all these successful people, they started with the learning of coding at the tender age. Yeah, some of them go for private tuitions. And when they go, and because of the training that's been given to them when they were young, now this is what they are now, right? To name a few. Okay, so this is as far as it goes, as far as I'm concerned. Anna, please take over the stage, so to say. We can't hear you, Anna.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm very pleased to meet you all, and let's continue my share of the presentation where I will bring you a little bit of the perspective from Finland in ICT and the development for little children. So next slide, please, straight away. And in my presentation, I will a little bit tell you about the Finnish education system, and then how the education creates a healthy society, and how the education is transforming, and then how we can bring coding for little children too. And let's continue the story to the next slide. Here you can see the structure of Nordic countries. Here on the right, left side, you have the usual structure of education system. So the biggest group of children are having the lowest amount of resources for their education. And then only a little part of the children in each most of the countries have the access to the best resources and the best opportunities. But in Nordic countries, we are small countries indeed, but we have created a system that every child is entitled to get the best education possible. And that's like a very good choice. And that's a choice that our governmental leader have made 100 years ago. And let's continue. And I'd like you to think a little bit about the topic that why is it beneficial to offer the great education for all 100 years ago and now today. And when we look at my next slide, please, then we can see that there is the system is built so that everything is very important for to have a healthy society, and education is in the center of that. Finland has been chosen several times to the world's happiest country, and it took us about 100 years to become one. And our country is full of innovations, and it's all started from mothers' well-being. So we started to offer mothers excellent things, and we have values to take care of the nature, but also the innovation and competitiveness. So we want to know what is the new innovations in the world and develop ourselves to that. And plus to that, we trust each other and also the education system we have. And then we can move on to the next slide, please. And here are some highlights of our educational system in Finland. So first step is that we decided to offer great education for teachers. And that has led to that we pay well for the teachers. They are very respected, and we take good care of them as well. And the most motivated individual apply for the university. It's a quite competitive profession as well. So the best students usually get to become teachers in Finland, which then creates a good base to develop the system further. And then step 2 was equal opportunities, that school is 100% free for everyone and everyone gets warm meals. And then we have the national curriculum for all. And then step 3, that we are investing in well-being. We do have sporty breaks, and we offer individual solutions within the teaching. And we also have health education and services at school. And the architecture of schools has been also paid more and more attention, so that we use wood there. And the rooms are organized so that they are very practical and support good education. And then step 4 is teachers' independence. Although we have national curriculum, the teacher is allowed to decide themselves how do they teach the subjects, and that motivates them further because they can use their own strengths and skills in that. And also co-work and development. In Finland, we have many organizations cooperating all the time with each other in university level and also in trusted organization. In many school teachers, they also have a doctoral degree. Okay, and let's move on. But our system is not stable. It can't stay like this forever. We have to renew it all the time. And our challenge is today, how do we transform our education in a rapidly changing world? Let's take a look at that. So one of the things is coding. It's a critical 21st century skill. And because it just isn't about communicating with the computer, it's also about learning how to think, how to do things, how to innovate things, and how to be creative. And programming is becoming, and already is in many places, a must in working life. It's a skill that decides if you get a job or not. And it's also included in many other future skills in as well. So as Dr. City earlier mentioned this, I won't repeat them, but I want to highlight here, for example, information literacy, which is very important skill now and in future as well. Let's take a second look into this topic further. Next slide, please. And then I would like you to think about the benefits of achieving coding skills at a young age. First, we were always thinking that it's about 18 plus of few people, some men coding in their basements, but now suddenly it's entitled to for everyone. Like in the earlier days, only few people were able to read, and but now nowadays everybody is expected to be able to read. The same applies for the coding. Earlier it was only few people, but now everybody is accepted to know at least the basics of coding. And the way we in Finland want to cross the boundaries before they even exist are creating steps of coding for children. Let's take a look at them. Here, so many things are involved in the coding and ICT skills. And therefore, when we offer these skills for little children already, we cross the boundaries before they even exist, because then they will have a great attitudes, they won't have fear, they will know the basics. And if you think about yourself, of your history, what were you able to do when you were 7 or 10 or 15 or 20? And what about if the children could have almost all these skills when they are 18? They will be leveling up the opportunities a totally different way, because it's so much included there, and all the time they have to study other things as well in biology, geography, physics, mathematics. But then when they are smaller, they have plasticity in their brain. They are almost like learning everything playfully, and they are motivated, and they are absorbing the information, and the skills become naturally, and therefore we should offer the children the opportunity to learn at a young age as well. Next slide, please. And here is one example how it could be done. So I have been involved in developing Baby Coderit, which is a coding class series aimed for younger children. And there were some key points that are what I wanted to include there, absolutely. So motivational and efficient curriculum must be a very in the heart of the thing. So little children, if they don't like something, they most likely won't even learn that. And step 2 is academic co-work and development. So whenever we are creating solutions for children in EdTech or in education, we should always look at the academic findings and combine all the information, the proved information that we have available. And step 3 is playful and gamified learning, which increases the motivation, which leads to the great learning results. And step 4 is very, very important, cybersecurity. We can't stress enough the safety of children in today's digital world. And of course, sustainable values. A lot can be done sustainably also in EdTech and in education if we pay attention to this. And this covers all the areas of sustainability: social, human, economic, and environmental. And these were the main main topics that are included in our Baby Godard class. So this is the way we can offer a good quality content for little children, and we shouldn't be accepting anything less. So there are lots of education providers in the world today, but we should always look behind. What are your values? How have you built your product, and what is your reasoning behind it? Is it safe for our children? So please, that's something that we should really stress in discussion. And next slide, please. And what I wanted to stress here, especially for you as a key takeaway, let's keep the children safe in the digital world. We know there are already dangers for the adults, and the same dangers are now try to reach out on our children if we don't stop them. And therefore we have, for example, included in our teaching always the cybersecurity elements, which are communicated the way the children understand them, so that they will master these skills as well. Okay, and let's move on. And here at the end, I wanted to add one quote from Linus Torvalds, who is the founder of Linux programming system, or the Linux system. And he has said that most good programmers do programming not because they expect to get paid or get adulation by the public, but because it is fun to program. And that's why I want to stress that one. Coding and doing all these ICT things, programming, it can be really fun, even though let's let the children choose if it's fun or not. Let's not let our own attitudes affect on that. And let's not stop them having these great skills that will be useful for them in the future. And next slide, please. So here is our contact if you want to contact us later as well. And then the last slide, I will say thank you for you, and please let us know if you have any questions.
Anna, before the next question, before question time, we'd like to show a short video for the benefit of the rest. Can we show a short video now? Just a 3-minute video to summarize what we have discussed, really. Thank you. We are done with this paper.
Thank you very much, Dr. CT, and also to Anna for this very insightful, very eye-opening presentation over here. We've now reached the Q&A session, so the floor is open for any or all questions for the presenters. All right, so we have one from Madam Nurul Aili Ashik, and she asks us the question: what are the challenges faced by Qadariat to ensure young children adapt to coding with coding?
Anna, switch on your mic. And I will answer the question. Hi, Anna, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, ma'am.
Can you hear me now?
All right.
Yes.
Yes, okay, great. So Qadariat has created an inclusive program, so coding program, which is based on like diversity on children. So when we are creating our coding program, we are testing it on different children, and then our teachers are also trained to get on all the types of children, because they are quick children, they are children that need more time, there's children with specific needs, and therefore we have creating a curriculum. Basically, it looks like all the children are doing the same, but they are supported to grow their skills at their own pace as well, because that's very important in that individuality is taken in account when developing education in ICT for small children. And this is something probably the biggest challenge, but we have also got over it. And also we offer our classes in Finland in hybrid model, so all the children also from the countryside or Lapland can attend our classes.
Thank you very much, Anna. Any other questions for the floor from the participants? Just a quick question to Dr. Siti over here. Now we're looking into like IR4 moving. We are close, like you said before, you're almost to the sunset of the IR4, moving on to IR5. Hopefully we'll be able to move on to IR5. How do you see Malaysia catching up in terms of integrating ICT, like coding into the education framework in the Malaysian education system, Dr. Siti?
I must say that pretty slow. We are really lagging behind, knowing that it's so critical and urgent for our economy, really. Although we have the policies and structure are all in place, but in terms of implementation is quite slow, if not lagging. So this is where we as educators who has got this passion for this, for this thing, we want to do our best and see how we can assist, how we can complement what the government is doing. And certainly going through the university is one of the best places to actually help to spread out this this knowledge, very critical knowledge. But
what
very
about
lagging.
what about international schools, man? Have you been like reaching out to international schools over in the Malaysian circuit?
Right. International schools, parents are more aware and very conscious of the future of their child, and they are willing to invest. And no questions asked. They pay together with the other fees, with the other academic fees. And coding is one of the subjects, a syllabus that the children go through. And most of the children who are exposed to coding are the rich kids. So we have a gap, honestly, we do. And unfortunately, in our experience in Malaysia, in the last 1 year, we do have a lot of parents who hesitate to send coding because they say, well, schools actually are teaching. Oh yes, they are teaching coding, but at
what pace?
That's a question. There's a question of what are they actually teaching? Because apart from other things, so very, very sad indeed. Yes.
Because when I was 17, I think there was actually they call it information technology as a subject during SPM, but they kind of fell through as well. So I would say, in a way, like I do agree with Dr. Siti over here. It's kind of in a slow pace, us catching up to some locations and all that. I would say with Finland, is coding like the normal thing in schools, or is it still an extra curriculum activity over in Finland, Anna?
It's included in our curriculum, but many schools buy also Coderit services because they want to have the children to have the great opportunities. So actually the city of Helsinki is one of our biggest partners in Finland.
That's nice to hear. It's nice to hear. Thank you once again, because we're moving on to the next person. Is Associate Professor Olli-Pekka available at the moment?
Yes, I will let him hear.
All right. So
Here.
thank you once again, Dr. Siti, and thank you. Kiitos paljon.
Thank you.
Anna. So we'll move on to Associate Professor Dr. Olli-Pekka Smålander, and he will talk us through education and skills for the future. He's from Tallinn University of Technology, TalTech, Europe. Doctor, the floor
Yeah,
is
we'll
yours.
get on to the next one.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so hello, pleased to be here. I will be talking about sort of looking a bit into the future with connecting on the previous presentations. So I'm going to talk about education and skills for the future related to that. So next slide, please. So this is me. So just a brief introduction. Well, in addition, I'm one of those people who started working with computers and programs around the age of 6 or 7. And well, currently, I'm an associate professor of bioinformatics at Tallinn University of Technology, so TalTech in Estonia, Tallinn. And in addition, I'm involved here in Estonia at the National Institute of Health Development. I'm an advisor on the personalized medicine initiative here. So next slide, please. So, and just to give a brief background on what's my perspective and how it's forming, this is this kind of 3 paths of my current activities. So first of all, I'm doing research. That's one of the major activities for me. And I'm doing it using computational methods. So, and the topics I'm doing research on, they range from cancer to plants to biological threats and in general data integration in biological sciences. I'm also very active on teaching and teaching development. So I'm teaching bioinformatics here at Tallinn, but also in this Europe-wide technological university network, Eurotech. I'm involved in teaching of this international master's program, Europe-wide master's program, and teaching biorefinery subject there. In general, I'm teaching in data analysis, giving specialized courses for PhD students, and I'm also involved developing teachers' education at the university level here at Tallinn. And this is kind of the main things I'm doing at the university, but then there's a third path of this kind of expertise contributions in society overall. So I'm involved in this personalized medicine initiative. I have been involved with a few startups and their innovation programs, processes. And then I'm doing collaboration with schools here in Tallinn and also bringing in some leadership and management practices from business research to research organizations. And in general, I'm involved in machine learning field. Next slide, please. So from that background perspective, I will discuss these 3 topics today. So I will first talk a bit about these global challenges and the skills that they require. And then I'm going to discuss about that how these skills are transferred to the students in education. And then last, I'm going to have a few slides about how this will translate to the future working life. Next slide, please. Okay, so the global challenges that I already mentioned, they are something like transnational in nature and in solutions. And these challenges are related to, for example, food, water, environment, energy. There are countless others like health and all those topics. And what it means that they are transnational is that they cannot be solved by any government or institution acting alone. So our next slide, please. Yeah, so I mean, these challenges, they cross national borders or even continents. And this means that we need collaboration between governments, international organizations, corporations, universities, and even creative individuals to solve these issues. So we need to cross national borders or even continents to solve these issues. Next slides, please. Okay, so universities are one of the organizations that are in a key role here, because universities, they provide the education that it's up to date and it's based on the latest knowledge that we have available. And now universities also need to take responsibility in something that we called continuous education. So providing education past also the degrees, and also ensuring that the students that leave the universities, that they do not have just degrees, but they also have a set of skills that are called transferable skills, and the skills that are not just this hardcore of their degree, but skills that they can apply anywhere in any position or any field. Next slide, please. And yeah, so here is a set of these skills for the future, and we have been already hearing about these in the previous presentations. But what I want to point out here is that when we look at the technology and digital literacy, some of these skills are so-called hard skills. Like, at least previously, they have been thought about as hard skills, something that you learn and then that's your profession. But now actually these are something in the technology and digital literacy blocks that you can use in various different fields and positions, and you can transfer them from one workplace to another, or solve one challenge and then move on to the next. So these are also now skills that understanding and also ability to use them will be transferable and also required in the future in many positions. And of course, these other sections like critical thinking and self-management, they are very self-explanatory. These are really must skills for everyone working in this kind of global challenge-based world. But then these interpersonal skills, I want to underline that these are also very, very important. Communication and other these in this area here, because I mean, we are now working in teams, and these teams are international, intercultural, often nowadays also virtual teams, so separated by time and distance. And now to make this work, this is also needed. We need these interpersonal skills. And then when you get more experienced, then also the leadership is something that becomes a transferable skills. And to a big degree, leadership and management skills are also acquired. They are not just something you are born with. So you can learn them, and you must learn them if you want to go forward in your career. And now, but who teaches these and how? Well, of course, the teachers are the ones that teach the young people, but now teachers must learn these first. So next slide, please. Okay, so but how do we learn these things? Now, education, it's the same than any other activity, like innovation activity, industrial activity, or even natural resources. I mean, we're now in a global world where we are more and more interconnected, but it doesn't mean that resources like education is a resource. These resources are not homogeneously distributed. There are hotspots for every activity and every kind of activity, every kind of resource. And as in education, some parts of the education, there are hotspots around the world in Nordics or other countries. And of course, every country has their local hotspot that is very relevant, then again, for the local. So it's kind of connecting global and local. And just as an example, maybe we have a very good artificial intelligence specialists in Nordic countries, in Helsinki, in Tallinn. And these people may be the best in the world in that, but they will not know the requirements of the application field in the Malaysia, and they will not have the education to solve the local issues there. And now this education needs to be shared in both ways. So it's like a two-way street. Next slide, please. And yeah, so as an example, I have here like a few people and who are involved in this Finnish tradition of sharing knowledge and innovation and responsibility of doing things globally and nationally, and even locally. So, I mean, Linus Torvalds was already mentioned, but he's the one who created Linux operating system, the kernel, the core of the operating system, and then he gave it to everyone. And what has that given us? Well, it has given us all the smart TVs, all the Android phones, our cars that have all these computer properties now, even like home appliances and industrial machines. All of these incorporate this Linux, a system one man started building quite a long time ago and then gave it openly to everyone. Then we have Martti Ahtisaari, our former president, Nobel Peace Laureate, and he's an expert in conflict mediation and diplomacy and these kind of things. And he has gone around globally helping in these kind of crisis situations, but he has also transferred this knowledge to others through activities in NGOs, which has been really, really transformative to this kind of conflict mediation field. And then we have example here, Suvi Syrjäläinen, the founder of Codaret, who has made a long career in multinational corporations as a software developer. And then she realized that she wants to make it easier for her own children to be on the field and started teaching them coding, and then shared that to other children in Finland and now also other children internationally. So that's kind of the Finnish way of doing these things and sharing things. Next slide, please. And here I have a couple of slides with examples of what kind of free education is available from Finland and what level. So here we have examples related to artificial intelligence. So there's actually more than this, also something that's related to ethics of artificial intelligence. But these are courses that will give you strong foundations on understanding and even developing an AI systems. So, and next slide, please. And then there are also like shorter courses that are concentrated on basic current digital skills. So these are something anyone can take and learn what these things mean in the current day world. And just an additional example here, and regarding these two slides, also in Estonia, there are initiatives of sharing and developing things for the rest of the world. So for example, 1/5, so 20% of Estonians have given their genomic information, their heritable information for the government to build this kind of personalized medicine approaches and learn how our genes shape us. And together with the digital governance initiatives here in Estonia, these will build this kind of future world, future country model for rest of the countries to use. Next, please. Okay, so now next there are the third topic of my talk. So I'm gonna have a few slides on the work life, future work life, and what these skills means. So for example, from personal perspective, when I'm recruiting new team members, so how do these skills then translate to this process? Because this is kind of the key step, getting a dream job or a position that you want. And now I'm currently in the recruitment side. and immediately when, I mean, all the candidates are good, there's a lot of great candidates. But then when you have someone who's very comfortable with ICT, with programming, with computers in general, data analysis, something like that, that already stands out. And then if you add communication skills, that's already a home run. I mean, I know that that candidate will be perfect for my team because that person can already start working on using these ICT skills. You can always learn the application field skills, and you have to learn because the application field changes. So whether you're working on plants or cancer or some microbes that are good or bad for us, the application field is different, but the tools and the methods from ICT are always the same. And as we're working with team, we are having outside international stakeholders, the communication skills are must, because I cannot handle all the communication. I will need to distribute the communication tasks within my team. And when I have someone who can just handle that as a breeze, then everything is perfect. So these skills really do stand out in the recruitment situation for me, and I know also for others. Next, please.
Excuse me, Doctor. Yeah, just a brief reminder. It's about 3 to 4 more minutes left.
Yeah, so I have just a couple of slides, so that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. So another thing is that that women in tech, we need more women in tech. That's something that's also very much tied to acquiring these skills. And why do we need that? Well, that's there's 3 main reasons. First of all, we need to make the tech better. So we know that in startups, if you have a diverse team, startup will be more successful. Same is here. If we have a diverse team building a technology, the technology will be better. So this will remove some, for example, this kind of harmful biases that we have shown in research that are in AI if the developer team of these AI solutions is not diverse enough. Another thing is, of course, at the family level. So the education level of the mother will have more effect on the education level of children than father will have. And this kind of develops this sort of continuity. And in the society's level, this will make the society more robust, and it will make the society develop faster. So yeah, this is really, really important point on several levels. Next, please. And now I have been talking about these transferable skills and then hard skills that have been losing their importance a bit. So this means that you will need to acquire hard skills during your work life. And this is something called continuous or lifelong learning. And this is something everyone needs to prepare. And you can handle this if the transferable skills are in order. Then you can do in-service education, retraining, or some non-formal, informal education during your career, and you will do just fine. And these micro grades or micro degrees that universities offer are the newest form of this kind of education. So this is something we need to be prepared in our careers in future. And this is something we need the transferable skills to benefit from. Yeah, next, please. And just sort of like a end point. So of course, well-being is in different levels: personal, family, society. We are aiming for well-being and it's kind of success. And good quality education is key to this. So with good quality education, people have more self-confidence and they are prepared to make choices that benefit their health and well-being. And this will bring both like economical and societal success in small and large scale. So remember to take care of yourself and your loved ones. Next, please. So I'll thank you for listening, and I hope there was interesting pointers for you there today. And next, please. And if you have any questions, let me know. If you want to collaborate or simply want to network, please contact me. There are several options available, and everyone's welcome to pay visit to Tallinn, which is becoming more international day by day. Thank you.
Dr. Olli, for that very informative presentation. Now, as an educator, right, this is the question from Madam Noailly. How do we embed all the skills that you've just mentioned, like in your presentation to the students, like the skills that you were talking about, you know, the digital skills, the soft skills, the hard skills, how would you actually embed them into students? Because
Yeah.
to
Okay,
get
that's a
them ready
very
for
good
the future.
question. Yeah, that's a very good question. And well, I have if somebody is interested, please contact me and I can show examples of that. But just briefly explaining, I actually personally, and I think it's kind of the general way that it's advised to do, is to integrate those like bit by bit into the courses. So of course the courses, like my bioinformatics courses, they are concentrated around the hard skills, but then the exercises and the assignments, they incorporate these skills into the curriculum. And I mean, the students are not graded based on those skills. They are let learn those skills while they are working on the hard problems, but they pick them up and they see that it actually makes them easier to work in teams and solve the issues. And so it makes their life easier, and they are keen to learn them through that. So they're just methods that are used to learn the hard skills. So it's kind of that way.
Thank you very much. Now, you were talking about women in technology. How will we looking? But taking Estonia, for example, how is the view over there? Is equality being practiced over there in terms of women in technology?
Yeah, that's good that you asked. So that in Estonia, actually women, there are more than 50% of women between 24 and 60 years old in Estonia have a higher education degree. And it really shows up also in the tech. So we have a lot of founders in tech startup, and we have, I mean, in technical university. So I have more women in my team than men. So here it's really happening. They are finding that when they get the opportunity, when they are given the means, and when people with different backgrounds are given the means to be involved in technology, they find their own ways, and it really does like widen the perspectives and possibilities. So yeah, it is happening, and I see the effects every day.
That's very good to know. That's very good to know. Thank you again, Dr. Ollie. We'd like to move on really quickly to our next presenter over here. Again, we'd like to thank Dr. Ollie and to Anna and also Dr. Siti for the presentation just now in terms of coding and also the future over here, the future in education. Yeah. Now let's move on to our next presenter over here. We have Aini Shahira Jamaluddin from Al-Bukhari International University, Malaysia, and she will be telling us about students' reflections towards online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, a case study of a private institution.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you see my screen? Yes. All right. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to all participants. Okay, so my name is Aini Shahira binti Jamaluddin. I am from Al-Bukhari International University, Al-Usta, Kedah, Malaysia. And I work on this somehow like a mini research with a team of mine, which is Runi Sali. So we work on a case study, a paper entitled Students' Reflections toward Online Learning During COVID-19 Pandemic. It is a case study of a private institution in Malaysia. Okay, so to begin with, so in conjunction with the COVID-19 pandemic's outbreak by the latest of 2019, okay, as we know, so it has somehow shifted the educational mode in all educational institutions, started from the primary level to the higher education. So from face-to-face classes to online classes. So this is because due to the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic because of the virus itself, so the Ministry of Education has decided to shift educational mode from physical education to e-learning. Okay, so research has found that COVID-19 pandemic necessitated the most educational institution find a practical strategy to educate their pupils. Fortunately, modern technological advancements have made e-learning the virtual core teaching method. So this is just not happening in Malaysia, but all over the world. Okay, so when we are talking about e-learning, so we have so many platforms that we can use. Okay, we have Google Meet, we have Zoom, WebEx, Skype, and then Google Team, and the list goes on. Okay, so why are we conducting this research, this mini research? Okay, the aims are, first one, to explore students' views and feedback regarding the benefits and drawbacks of online learning. The second one, we would like to explore students' experiences with online teaching and learning. And last one, we would like to investigate students' perspective or their experiences about the impact, how they think of online learning towards their future careers. Okay, so these are some of the literature reviews. Okay, I only highlighted 3 parts for this presentation. Okay, so the first one, we focus on the students' motivation. Okay, study by Box in 2010. This is before, a long way before a pandemic. Say that learning environment is an important factor that motivates students to learn, participate, contribute, and academically perform well in their studies. Okay, the recent one, 2021, by Lee, said that effective online tasks is the most important aspect when we are talking about a student's motivation in online learning. Okay, the second part, we were focusing on the effectiveness of online learning. A study by Dada and his colleagues in 2019 showed that students' performance was improved when they use both synchronous and asynchronous forms of learning. And then another study mentioned about the wireless gadget, the important and how crucial it is in helping higher education students. And the next one, we highlighted about the impacts of online learning. Okay, so a study by Yusni Lita in 2020 found that online learning offers an ideal means of content distribution, unbound by time or place, allowing for accessing the teaching at any time from everywhere. Another research, okay, found that face screening learning does not significantly impact students' performance compared to face-to-face learning setting. Okay, so the methodology. Okay, so we decided to go with qualitative research because it seemed to be the most suitable design to meet the purpose of this investigation. Okay, in this case, we use a case study because we would like to interview, and a case study is suitable to pursue in-depth information around the topic. And in this case, we interviewed 3 undergraduate students, okay, in our semi-structured interview. And then semi-structured interview is selected because it is best served to answer the main questions and purpose of the study. Okay, in this research, we use a purposive sampling procedure in selecting the participants. Okay, some of the criteria are, they are from different major, different programs, and they have to be at least a second-year student, undergraduate students. Okay, so the next one is we conducted pilot study, and then based on the pilot study, we modified, we rearranged the interview sequences, and then the interview was recorded, transcribed, coded, and then we used thematic analysis to come up with the findings. Okay, so this is the core part where we are talking about the findings. Okay, so based on the interviews conducted, okay, the first thing first, we found that most of respondents prefer face-to-face classes compared to online learning. Okay, so we saw this coming. Okay, yes, they say they prefer face-to-face classes. Okay, respondent 1, respondent A, said that because he easily get distracted from the messages or call or with his phone. So while attending online classes, so he easily lose his focus on the lecture. So this is why he prefer physical learning rather than online classes. And then another respondent said that yes, he does like online learning, but somehow he prefer face-to-face. So if he is about to give the percentage, he would say he prefers 70% physical classes or face-to-face classes and only 30% of online classes. Okay, so some students feel that when it comes to discussion online or online classes, it detracts them from bridging a sense of community with their peers and lecturers. And yes, I agree with the statement. And likewise, face-to-face interaction is vital for building this feeling compared to online contact. Okay, and then the second finding, okay, is the flexibility of online learning. Okay, so the main thing that attracts students the most about online learning is the flexibility. Okay, respondent A say that yes, online learning does have some benefits. Okay, and the most important one for him is because it is flexible. And then the second respondent said, well, as we know, online learning has a lot of advantages, especially in terms of balancing our lives. So it is flexible and we have a lot of resources to refer to and also to learn as much as we want because they can learn based on their own individual pace. Okay, so regarding this context, a study conducted by Abay Kazakh National Pedagogical University shows that online learning has a lot of benefits for students in their learning approaches. Okay, from the result of this study, online learning paves the way for students to learn at their convenient times, which is true and agreeable. Okay, but somehow another research conducted among Polish medical students show that e-learning approach is not as effective as traditional learning approach. Because in this study, the respondents are medical students. So it is crucial for them to improve their social skills with the parents, with their patients. Okay, so next one, what we can retrieve from the finding is online learning are impactful for future careers. Okay, all the respondents in this study agreed that online learning give a huge impact in their future careers. Okay, the first one is a student from a business study. Okay, he said that when he involved with e-learning, it is somehow has improved his skills, okay, in terms of designing, Photoshop, data analysis, Excel, and so on. So it has a big impact on his future career. Okay, and then the second student is from computer science field. So he said that online learning has somehow increased his knowledge in terms of, for example, artificial intelligence, AI. He admit that, and then online learning support his career in the future. And then another respondent, which is the last one, he is educator, future teacher. He admitted that e-learning is very impactful for his future career. When we are talking about education, yes, we can see the future of education going to be hybrid. Okay. So a study by Segaran in 2020 said that one of the online learning approach advantages is the advancement of the future career based on the study from international website, study international website. Okay, and then the same scholar that I mentioned just now, okay, Yusnelita in 2020 also said that a study regarding the impact of online learning indicated that e-learning is not a practical learning approach for students to gear up their knowledge or skills. Okay. Okay, so to summarize, okay, we can say that even though these students face some difficulties or distraction due to the technical issues and other factors in facing e-learning, they tried their best with great effort to contribute to their studies. And hence, based on the students' experiences with this learning approach, they tried their best, and in general, we can say that they were satisfied with the quality of online learning. In this case, we are focusing on this specific private institution in Malaysia. They are satisfied with the quality. And then on the other hand, they believe that online learning has significant impacts on their future careers since technology has become more innovative. It will prepare them to be professional leaders to fit and compete in the future labor market. And last but not least, however, some factors must be considered when it comes to online classes. So the online learning environment is one of the essential aspects that need to be improved by the teacher since it covers the students' interaction, motivation, and academic performance. Okay, so I think that's pretty much from me. And with that, thank you.
Right now, yes, question again. We reached the Q&A session. So right now, the question comes from Madam Laili. So how far does online learning actually, in your opinion, how far does online learning support the students' own independent learning?
On independent
Based on
learning.
what, yeah, based on what you've researched and looked into, like the interviews, right? Like how does the online learning kind of assist them in terms of their independent learning, in your opinion?
Okay, so I think we can say that all of us here, either the students or the educators, okay, we experience online learning. Okay, so how far does online learning support the students' independent learning? Okay, so in this case, I would say because online learning enables students to learn by their own pace. Okay, because as educators, we cannot, we can just provide them with the materials, but then still, because they are at their own home, so it depends on their self-discipline and whatnot. Okay, so in this case, online learning provide their own platform, so where usually they can replay the video, they can read the materials all over again. Okay, and then that is how online learning somehow contribute or help students in their self-learning.
Thank you very much once again, Ms. Aini. Now, like based on what we have seen, and also like you said, hybrid learning is kind of something that's going to be a pathway to the future, and I hope like more universities can get on board with this as well. As we can see, like there are pros and cons to it. So, thank you once again for that very informative and insightful presentation. Thank you very much, Ms. Aini. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Khartoum Hussain, also from the Al-Bukhari International University, and his topic, the topic for his discussion would be reflections on adaptive learning experience from public relation classroom learners in an undergraduate program. Dr. Khartoum, are you there? We can't hear you clearly. Yes, we can see you, Dr. Khartoum. If you could just speak into the mic, because I can't hear you. Oh, it's very soft. We can't hear you, Doctor. Sorry about that. Let's just wait for a moment. There seems to be some technical difficulties here.
Hello, can hello. Hello, Mr. Chin, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you, Dr. Khartoum.
Oh, okay. I'm okay.
I'll need you to move your phone away from the laptop because there's going to be some interference. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to use this this mobile phone.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
I shall be referring from my slides on this desktop.
Okay.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Sorry for this glitch.
No problems. No problems.
Mana ya? Is it this one? Yes, this one. Okay. All right. So you're not. Would you be seeing my slides? No. Mr. Chin, can you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. How? Okay. Can I just recite without referring to my without you having the chance to look at my slides?
There wouldn't be a problem. I wouldn't
Okay.
think.
All right. And without further ado, I shall begin. All right.
Yeah.
I shall begin. This one is. What is it? Where is it? The slide just now? Wait, this one. Okay, all right. This particular research entitled Reflections on Adaptive Learning Experience from my class last semester. And the class is on public relation. Actually, this is my first attempt to do an adaptive learning. Okay, so since you won't be able to see my colleagues, but we were working, there are 5 of us working on this research, and AIU collaborate with some colleagues from College University Islam Selangor. Okay, my presentation throughout these 10 minutes will be guided with this framework. I shall address on the background of the study, and then move on to literature review, methodology, and then pursue with findings and discussions, and then I shall conclude. Okay, about the background of the study, the setting is the course that I had this research executed was a public relation course, and the methodology adopted was adaptive learning. Okay, and then this particular study is guided by 3 research questions. The first one is, how does adaptive learning compare with conventional instruction? In short, it means to say that adaptive learning versus conventional instruction. Secondly, does adaptive learning influence students' engagement with course content? And thirdly, is what is the impact of adaptive learning on learning outcome? That was my focus in this particular research. And about the literature review, I started off with the theories. It is about adaptive learning theory introduced by Cornbach in 1957. Now, Cornbach is a psychologist. All right, he talked about how adaptive learning theory, all right, which is rooted from the contemporary educational psychologists. I found that this particular theory is deemed appropriate in this particular study, but at the same time, concurrently, I'm also reading the theory with another theory proposed by Bloom in 1971 that theorized that achievement gaps between students could be best addressed by differentiating instruction. So different kind of instructions. All right. Now, according to Monova Zileva in 1995, adaptive learning is the process of generating a unique learning experience for each learner based on the learner's personality, interests, and performance in order to achieve goals such as learners' academic improvement, learner satisfaction, and effective learning process. So based on this, all right, I found that I was experimenting with my students to do an adaptive learning teaching approach. Okay, about adaptive learning, which I can call it AL, is actually, firstly, it provides appropriate knowledge resources. Secondly, the material in that particular course, all right, will give the participant new interesting content. And thirdly, it will be a fully personalizing learning process. All right. So with technology embracing our life today, so in education, we see that personalized learning could be just another form of doing things. Right. So okay. So now what I did use in executing this particular research is that I make use of an ebook published by McGraw-Hill in March 2020. All right, and this ebook is embedded in the Google Classroom. All right, a sort of like a LMS. So the students access this via online and offline. So when we say online, or they download and they start doing it, it will be partly a personalized one. But this particular smart book published by McGraw-Hill is just deemed appropriate for me to start off with an adapted learning. Okay. But talking about this particular what do you call that, McGraw smart book, it has everything. It has modules that contain the concept of the course, as well as different exercises where students can attempt. And when they attempt, they will get instant feedback, and they move on from the lower stage to the higher stage, and they move on their own phase. All right. So what I did to engage their reflections on adaptive learning is that the design of a methodology is qualitative. The sampling is convenient sampling. The focus group consists of 22 participants, and I collected the data using the semi-structured interview. All right, and how did I analyze the data? It was a thematic analysis, and according to King and Horrocks in 2010, there are 3 stages in analyzing thematic analysis. That is, firstly, I was doing the descriptive coding, and then I move on to interpretive coding, and then identifying the overarching themes. So that was the methodology adopted. And about the findings, again, I put it under thematic as well. But I just share some extraction of responses from the participants. All right, for the first theme, pertaining to adaptive learning as opposed to traditional learning, well, the participants mentioned that it was very engaging, not boring, all right? Just in time, they get the instant feedback, which they love so much. And then the materials, all right, where in this particular book, it has multiple pathways, all right, with the materials. And then they can access additional resources. And many of this content in this particular book has got lots of practices where the students enjoy doing. So it's focused on practices before the students can come into the in grasping the concept of this public relations. So the second theme is engagement of students in adaptive learning. How their engagement level. So according to them, some extraction here, which I can read from my slides now, it says that they can focus on varieties of instructional content and activities. All right, and then they found that it's a student-centered learning, which they like because it's a self-paced, self-progress. And then students' learning and progress, they found that the engagement is based on their performance. And the third theme is on the perceptions of using adaptive learning technology. They had a long list on that, but some of which is not repeatable. It's not repeated, but I could consolidate here about nine extract. Okay, they were saying that adaptive learning is a new learning experience for them. It's a valuable tool to them. It provides instant feedback. Programs are self-paced, and then the help section in that particular content has helped them through the exercise. It's a flexible learning environment. They also claim that it's an accelerated learning, and they were interacting with various instructional content and engaged with varieties of activities. And students love so much because they are progressing at their own level. So the conclusion for this study is about adaptive learning environment. From this study, the researchers conclude that adaptive technology allows each student to progress at their own pace through the coursework. Number 2, high performance students can demonstrate their mastery of more fundamental concepts and can be allowed to move quicker, all right, compared to their other peers. And number 3, we found that adaptive learning is now teaching individual student instead of teaching the entire class as a whole. So with that, Mr. Chin, I rest my case. Thank you so much.
Very much, Dr. Kaltom. So now we're moving on to the section for any questions? Anything you'd like to ask from the floor?
Okay,
Looking into the time, looking into the
Alright.
time over here, maybe just one question over here from me. You did say that when we're looking into adaptive learning, the students, some of the students that are like, you know, much more advanced, they are able to progress further. What about the students that, you know, are kind of like, they're not really technologically in tune, they're not really, maybe there's some issues with connections. How did you as an educator, were you able to like boost the students that were kind of maybe lagging behind?
Okay, lagging behind, they were not so bad because they are 65% and above. Their score is 65% and above, 5% and above. These are the two categories. But however, to address your questions, we in that particular content, there are some remedies, all right, where students can do extra activities. So we will monitor through the analytics, because this particular program is equipped with analytics, and then the instructor able to engage with the students' performance.
All right. Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know, Doctor. All right. Once again, thank you very much, Doctor. Now we know about technology moving forward, right? Adaptive learning is the way forward, going through it as well. And we can see it happening. It is, I think I would say the pandemic kind of has its benefits in terms of like boosting education, you know, moving forward, as we can see. Thank you again, Dr. Kausup.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Without much further ado, let's just move on to our next presenter over here, Dr. Tirza Zakaria from the University of Selangor, Malaysia. And he will be talking to us about the perception and attitudes of secondary school students towards the effectiveness of learning English in the endemic phase. Dr. Tirza, the floor is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. This is a study which we conducted, which I conducted with my students, and we looked at the perception and attitudes of secondary school students, mostly in Selangor. Okay, and we wanted to find out the effectiveness of learning English in the endemic phase. First of all, let's just look at the background of the study. I hope my slides are moving. I have a problem with that actually. Sometimes I tend to talk and the slides just stay there. Okay, so the background of the study would be no doubt technology has played a vital role in students' acquisition of English language globally. And in an article by SPEC 2019, he stated that English language learners will benefit if they use technology in learning. And moving on to a brief problem statement. So as we have seen in the past 2 years or so, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, schools globally were shut and students utilized technology in their learning at home. However, fortunately, we have somewhat recovered, and now we're in the endemic phase, and the students have returned to school, and classes are being held physically. So we wanted to see if the transition had any impact on the students' English learning skills. We had 2 research questions. How do students perceive learning through technology? And number 2, what is the students' attitude towards the use of technology in acquiring knowledge? And our research objectives are simply put, number 1, to determine the perception of students using technology to acquire English language. And number 2, to investigate students' attitude towards the use of technology in English language classrooms during the pandemic and the endemic phase. Moving on, okay. A brief literature review where there are important quotes from notable authors. So I hope you can see them clearly. They might be quite a little bit tiny there, but for the issue of ESL learning in Malaysia. English language education has been the object of several educational reforms proposed by the government from pre-independence days, and we have seen it through the years. And the current one would be the focus on the CEFR framework. And number two would be second language acquisition in terms of age. So we managed to find a quite recent source from OSFIDAN who stated that younger learners are more successful than older learners in learning a second language, and younger learners' language learning strategies are less stressful and demand less work. And number three, young learners are more skilled in language acquisition. So it looks like most of these are in favor of younger learners in terms of second language acquisition. And also the third issue would be some strategies used in acquiring the English language. So as stated by Sani S. and Ismail H. 2021, young Malaysian ESL learners were likely to use compensation strategies in their learning, whereby a teacher or a peer covers the gap in communication and their lack of vocabulary. So this is based on a study done by Sani S. and Ismail H. And the last issue would be technology in the classroom. Technology allows teachers to enhance classroom activities and language learning processes. Right, so the next slide would be this one. The methodology that we utilized was a quantitative research design. So we utilized a questionnaire adopted and adapted from Rohman et al. 2020 for this particular study. And the questionnaire was distributed via WhatsApp to secondary school students in Malaysia, and 40 respondents from various secondary schools in Malaysia took part in answering the questionnaire. Let's have a look at the demographics. So basically, we could see that out of the 40 respondents, 13 are male students and 27 are female students. And their ages or their level of study range from Form 1 to Form 5. So we had 10 respondents from Form 1, 3 from Form 2, 10 from Form 3, 6 from Form 4, and 11 from Form 5. Okay, so we found that for the first question of online learning, for the statement of online learning improves my language learning acquisition. So as you can see from the graph there, 65% of the respondents or 26 students strongly agreed that online learning improved their reading skills effectively. And the next one, the statement, online learning improves my language learning acquisition. We got quite a mixed response from this. 45% of the respondents or 18 students disagreed that online learning improved their speaking skills, while only 12 agreed that online learning improved their speaking skills, and we had 5 students who were neutral on this particular statement. The next one, the statement regarding online learning during the pandemic phase. Learning materials provided by teacher in online learning helps in improving students' understanding of the subject. So mostly 47.5% of the students strongly agreed, or almost half of the students strongly agreed with the statement that learning materials provided by teacher in online learning help them in improving their understanding of the subject. And the next one, the next statement, online learning helps with learning new vocabulary. 40% strongly disagreed that online learning helped them with learning new vocabulary. As you can see, this is quite a mixed response. Okay, if we were to look at the positive responses, there were only about less than 40% who had positive responses about this, and 2 respondents were neutral. So as you can see, this is quite a mixed response from the students. And now we are moving towards our online learning during the endemic phase. And the statement that we posed to the students was, hybrid learning makes the class vibrant and lively. So 62.5% of the students strongly agreed that hybrid learning made the class vibrant and lively. And as you can see, another 12.5% of the respondents agreed that hybrid learning made the class vibrant and lively. For the next one, hybrid activities provided more opportunities for students. Okay, so this one, we got quite a mixed response. 42.5% of the students, or 17 respondents, strongly disagreed that hybrid activities provided opportunities for the students. And if we were to look at the positive responses, we managed to get about 40% of positive respondents from the students, while 5% or 2 respondents were neutral about this statement. And the conclusion that we could draw upon the findings of this study are: the students engaged in online learning because it was an easy to use technology which encouraged interaction with their teachers and peers. And number 2, inadequate online learning facilities also caused difficulties for pupils, according to some negative feedback from them. New vocabulary and 4 skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, may be acquired by the pupils by using technology in online learning. And the teacher should also consider the student's condition and situation, accessibility of internet connection for students, and the selection of online learning applications which are effective and efficient for teaching and learning based on the students' experiences in the study. So basically, that's all for today. That's our study condensed in about 15 PowerPoint slides. I'm open to any questions from the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sirza. So like Dr. Sirza said, the floor is now open for any questions with regards to this research. Right, we have a question from Ms. Farah. In your opinion, Doctor, how does technology guide educators in delivering English lessons to students?
All right, thank you for the question, Farah. It's something, technology is something that we should embrace as educators, and you shouldn't be left out, and you should try your best to follow the latest technology in teaching. At the time, at the current situation, mostly we have witnessed how teachers in secondary schools are quite quick to adopt technology, and we have seen that they like to involve students in games and the latest applications for teaching language. And one which is very popular among my teacher trainees is the application which we know as Kahoots. And I've seen its effectiveness and the way how it seems to engage students in the lesson. So I, for one, deeply encourage our teacher trainees, our TESOL teacher trainees, to explore technology and to embrace technology as much as they can. All right.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tirza. Due to the time constraint, that's the only question that could be filled at this moment. But then again, thank you very much for helping in, promoting TESOL and also improving the English levels of all the students in our beautiful nation of Malaysia. Thank you once again, Dr. Tirza. Thank you very much. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to our next presenter over here. Ms. Siti Fatimah Zahra binti Marzuki from the University College of Yayasan Pahang, and she will be talking about agro-technology implementation in teaching and learning to improve children's social intelligence.
Hello. Wait. Can you see my slide? Okay. Assalamualaikum and very good evening to everyone. So my name is Siti Fatimah Zahra binti Marzuki. So for today, I would like to share and present my research, which is the title is Agro-Technology Implementation in Teaching and Learning to Improve Children's Social Intelligence. So, as we know, involve the children's environment. Agro-technology is a field of knowledge related to agricultural development, which is a modern agricultural method and requires sophisticated equipment, tools, and technology, and can be used to solve human problems in the field of agriculture. In addition, agro-technology is also a very large field and has various agricultural methods created by involving the use of modern technology nowadays. For example, hydroponics, aeroponics, aquaponics, and geoponics method. This method of agro-technology has its own history, such as the origin of the method, the country that started the agricultural method, and the basic principles for using the method. This method of agro-technology has various advantages and disadvantages according to the method used. According to Malaysian Education Ministry 2013, the primary school curriculum in Malaysia in particular also makes the aspect of agricultural technology used in the field as developed in the second level design and technology curriculum. So for the problem statement, why I choose this topic, it is because the handling of teaching and learning at the present time is implemented in a hybrid way. According to 2020, China is a country that first affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, has implemented the teaching process and online learning. The second problem is the implementation of teaching and learning needs to be done despite the COVID-19 pandemic. So according to Zaliha Hasbullah 2015, this problem causes many parties to struggle to ensure that children's academic achievement are in a good condition and can guarantee their future. So the third problem is today's children are less aware of nature and do not practice a healthy lifestyle. Based on several studies conducted by Blanchard and Pratt 2005, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention 2011, Perez Rodrigo and Aranceta 2003, Smollett, Levin and Sherman 1998, states that increased intake of nutritious vegetables and fruits is through activity-based curriculum development, and it is his main strategy. So the last problem is most children are not interested in doing activities outside the classroom or activities related to the agriculture. So according to Wilson 2002, shows that the process in which children learn about nature should begin before kindergarten. The problem is that many Westerners and young urban children have few opportunities to have direct experience with the nature. However, they spend a lot of time indoors and are not in contact with nature. So there are three research objectives on this research. So the first one is to identify the level of teacher knowledge about the implementation of agro-technology in teaching and learning. The second one is to investigate the methods to implement agro-technology in teaching and learning at school. And the third one is to identify the relationship between the implementation of agro-technology and teaching and learning on children's social intelligence. One research question is, what is the level of teacher knowledge about the implementation of agro-technology in teaching and learning? The second one is, what is the method to implement agro-technology in teaching and learning at school? And the last one is, what is the relationship between the implementation of agro-technology and teaching and learning on children's social intelligence? So for the literature review, I refer to the several literature review of past research. And one of them is, according to Blomen, Slover, and Mayer 2015, studies on the dimensions of emotional and social intelligence are carried out by measuring concepts related to emotional and social intelligence, such as social skills, interpersonal relationship excellence, psychological maturity, and emotional awareness. Therefore, social intelligence can be improved by teaching and learning that can stimulate children's ability to socialize and understand a situation well. The second literature review is, according to Singh 2003, all teachers need to have emotional and social intelligence to be excellent teachers. This is because we need teachers who have high emotional and social intelligence to implement an active teaching and learning process where they can instill positive personality among students. The next is, according to Stephen J. Gould from Monash University, his study titled on Intelligence 1994 explained that social intelligence is an individual's ability to understand and conduct human relations. His opinion is supported by Goldman 2005, where social intelligence describes exclusively the ability to navigate complex social relationships and the human environment itself. And the last literature review, according to Gardner 1983 and Azhar 2004, found that studies involving intelligence are an emphasis on elements that have a connection with emotional intelligence, and it makes a student more stable in a relationship and social interaction compared to students who lack exposure to the concept of emotional and social intelligence. So this research used a quantitative method and consisting of 54 preschool teachers who teach in the district of Raub Pahang, and the total of 48 respondents who were randomly selected from the preschool teachers. And the instrument that used in this research is in the form of questionnaires, and the questionnaire itself consists of 20 questions where the answer option for the first 5 questions are either yes or no, and the next 15 questions consist of 4 answer options, which are 4-point Likert scale, such as strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. So the data collected was analyzed using the statistical package for social sciences version 26.0. So for the data collection process that I ran as follow. So the first step is I prepare a questionnaire using the Google Form application and get approval from supervisor. So the second step is select the study sample randomly and distribute the questionnaire. The third, respondents answered the questionnaire. Once the number of respondents was sufficient, the data was entered into SPSS version 26.0. And the last step is the data was analyzed and the result of the study was collected and compiled. So the finding of this research that I can say are, they are the level of knowledge of preschool teachers about the implementation of agro-technology in teaching and learning is at a high level. The majority of preschool teachers agree with the method to implement agro-technology in teaching and learning in schools, where they believe that this method can help improve children's social intelligence and can provide positive effect to careful and optimal teaching and learning planning. In addition, the implementation of agro-technology and teaching and learning are interrelated with each other, because most preschool teachers think that the environment or learning based on nature can improve children's social intelligence. There is a significant relationship between the dependent variable and independent variable in a positive way. And the last findings, there are some preschool teachers who do not agree with the combination of agro-technology implementation and in teaching and learning, because they lack knowledge about the method and need guidance to handle it. So last but not least, the conclusion of this research is the result of this study have achieved the objective and answered the question posed by the researcher. The findings of the study show that the level of teachers' knowledge about agro-technology in teaching and learning is at a high level, where the method to implement agro-technology in teaching and learning at school is agreed by many preschool teachers. However, the result of the study show that the relationship between the implementation of agro-technology and teaching and learning on children's social intelligence is at a high level. It can be said that the implementation of agro-technology in teaching and learning at school greatly help teachers to improve the development and social intelligence of children by planning and implementing teaching and learning related to agro-technology, so that the children can adopt a healthy lifestyle and always be happy to engage with nature. And the last, all parties must play a role in ensuring the children receive a perfect and holistic education. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Siti Fatima. Right. So from a question over here, like for you, yeah, as an educator, how do you involve the children with nature, in your opinion? How would you?
So, I think there is so many ways to involve children with the nature. So the first thing come out in my mind when I need to talk about what are the ways to involve children to the natures is, the first one is educators can conduct a visiting program or excursion programs, such as a visit to the zoo, garden, or parks. And there are so many kind of zoo or garden or any other parts for children to explore the nature, so that children can learn from their environment through their sense of stimulation. So other than that, for teaching and learning, educators can create some program or activities like nature walks, inquiring activities for the children to explore the nature. In relation to that, the teaching implemented can stimulate children's interest to the nature and can provide an interesting and comprehensive learning environment for them. So that's the answer from me. Thank you.
For that very intuitive answer over here for the presentation as well. So without further ado, thank you again. We'd like to invite the next presenter, Ms. Marsha Hanani from the University Sultan Pendidikan Idris, Malaysia. And her topic will be on children's emotional psychological development during the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Marsha, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum and very good evening. Okay, today I would like to present my study research which is children's emotional psychological development during COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, let's go to the introduction. Emotional intelligence is an ability to recognize one's own feelings and the feelings of others, the ability to motivate oneself, as well as the ability to manage emotions well in oneself and also in relationship with other people. Okay, according to Desmita, emotion is a complex reaction related to a level of activity and profound changes accompanied by strong feelings or accompanied by effective conditions. The study was carried out because to identify the positive psychological development of 5-year-old children in Taman Peling, Johor Bahru during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the problem statement is the rapid of COVID-19 epidemic has had a profound effect on the whole world, especially on children in terms of their emotional psychology. Children have to go through these drastic changes and have to stay at home for long periods of time. Things like this have violated the norms of children who likes to play, have fun, go to school, and also explore various things with friends, resulting in stress, anxiety, and depression. Okay, children's development also limited causes the process of expressing thoughts and feeling through words to be limited. For the research objective and research questions, have 3 research objectives. First one is to identify positive emotional psychological development of 5-year-old children. Second is to study the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on children's emotional psychological development. The third one is to study children's emotional management during the COVID-19 pandemic period. For the research question, firstly is what are the characteristics of positive emotional psychological development of 5-year-old children? Second, what is the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the emotional psychological development of children? Lastly, how to manage children's emotions during the period of the COVID-19 pandemic? Okay, for the theory, I'm using 2 theories in my research, which are Ecological Approach Theory 2019 and Erik Erikson's Psychosocial Theory. For the Ecological Approach Theory, the result of adaptation between Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory with the concept of children's education in Islam by Abdullah Nasir Urwan, modified by Rohayati Junaidi. It consists of 3 principles, namely specific environment, ecosystem environment, and general environment. It involves the child's environment to help and guide in the management and regulation of emotions for stable emotional psychological development. Okay, for the second theory is Erik Erikson's theory. Erik's theory of psychosocial development is a theory of individual development that combines personal, emotional, and social factors. This theory has 8 stages, as we know, and the development of person's life. And at each stage, there will be a crisis of its own, I'm using only the third level out of 8 levels, which is the level of initiative versus guild. Okay, for this research design, according to Kaliama Krishnan and Muhammad Yusuf, the study design is a set of, wait, I can't see. It's a set of systematic guidelines for conducting the study so that the objective of the study can be achieved. I'm using a quantitative method in collecting and analyzing research data. For the population and sample, respondents for this study are parents of 5-year-old children from Taman Peling, Johor Bahru. The study sample involved 52 respondents consisting of randomly selected parents of the children. Okay, for the research instrument, data will be collected using a set of questionnaires and distributed to respondents randomly. I'm using a questionnaire because it is easy to get the number of respondents, as according to Just Laili, using a questionnaire is easy. According to Creswell, the quantitative method is an approach to test hypotheses and answer research questions by examining the relationship between variables. Okay. This is the research instruments used in research. Okay, questionnaires are instruments that are often used in descriptive studies because it is easy to obtain data from respondents. Okay, this instrument has section A and section B, which is section A have 5 questions based on respondents' demographic or background information. Section B have 3 questions related to the objective of the study and the research method used to collect the data for the study using a questionnaire and Google form within from a line with the objective of the study. Okay, number of respondents involving 52 people of which is parents of 5-year-old children in Taman Peling, Johor Bahru. Okay, according to PAMJIT, the Likert scale format is usually used to measure the strength of the opinion. All data are evaluated with the main method of evaluating structural response using a scale 1 to 4, which is 1 is strongly disagree, 2nd disagree, 3rd agree, and 4th strongly agree. Data. Let's move to the data analysis method, which is descriptive statistic is the collection and merging of data, including standard deviation, minimum and maximum values calculated to calculate the information related to the respondent demographic. I'm using the statistical package for social science, which is SPSS version 26 2019 to analyze the data that has been collected and viewed for percentage, frequency, standard distribution, as well as bar charts through descriptive analysis for the validity of the findings. All data collected will be analyzed and added into SPSS software to obtain the data from the questionnaire that has been collected. Okay, for the findings, objective 1 is to identify positive emotional psychological development of 5-year-old children. It can be seen that the emotional psychological development of 5-year-old children is developing at a positive and moderate level during the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, for objective 2 is to study the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on children's emotional psychological development. And we can see that the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the emotional psychological development of the children are still in a good condition, but they still need a guidance and education from parents from their parents in controlling and managing their emotions well. Lastly, objective 3, to study emotional management of children during the period of the COVID-19 pandemic. It can be seen that majority of parents know how to guide in managing and controlling children's emotion during the COVID-19 pandemic. This can be help children's emotional psychological development at a stable level. Okay, for the conclusion, the result of the study showed that some children have a good level of emotional psychological development during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, there are parents who do not understand the characteristic of the emotional psychological development of the children at the age of 5. Furthermore, parents need to guide and educate children to control their emotions well. This is because the importance of improving emotional health among children needs to be given awareness among parents and also the community as well, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Additional knowledge about parenting and emotional management is very necessary to develop internal strength to encourage the process of formation and development of emotional psychology and also positive thinking among children and to their age and development. Positive emotional psychological development in children will provide many benefits to children, whether in terms of their physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and social. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Ms. Marsha. Now, due to time constraints, we have only enough time for one question from the floor. Anyone have any questions? All right. So from Ms. Faradiba over here, her question is, how can parents support or enhance, the positive emotion when it comes to children, in your opinion, Ms. Marsha?
How can parents support or enhance
positive emotions in children?
How to wait. How to parents support? How can parents support? In my opinion, how can parents support or enhance positive emotion in children is spending time together, spending time together with children, like playing games and give their motivation to enhance their emotional development. And because it is important to know that parents and child have a strong relationship. So parents can support with various what we call.
You're looking at I would say you'll be looking at various methods to kind of like increase communications and like you said just now, playing games with them, being a good role model, I would say. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Marsha, for your time here. Now we are moving on to our very last presentation for today. I'd like to invite Ms. Nur Abalia from the University College of Yayasan Pahang, and she will be talking to us about the use of interactive video games in teaching and learning activities on the cognitive development of children.
Hi, Assalamualaikum
yeah,
and
it's
very good
actually
morning. My name is Nur Arbeiyah binti Zu Azli. Today I want present about the using of interactive video game in teaching and learning activity on the cognitive development of children. Okay, next introduction. According to Abbas and Hamza 2070, the development of the world of information technology and children environment is said to affect children for various aspects, especially from the world children think and their cognitive ability. Okay, next. According to MyZatul 2019, software and devices such as tablet, iPad and smartphone are said to be game and current trend in children learning environments. Last, according to Halina Zubaida and Ani Ahmad 2017, in order to insert the learning process that place more conducive and accordance with the learning needs of the 21st century. Slight change in teaching pedagogy need to be done. One of the methods that can be used is interactive video game. Okay, next is problem statement. Rosnani Mahmud 2011 also stated in their study that the extent to which teachers are ready and will to use ICT in teaching practice also depend on the knowledge and technology skill they have. As according to Siti Mazia 2013, lack of idea to produce interesting activity using video game to improve children development over time. The situation is contrary to the wish of the Malaysian Ministry of Education for teachers to devise their teaching methods and one of the recommended methods in the using of ICT. Okay. Next, research objective and study question. Objective number 1 is review the use of interactive video game on children cognitive development. And the study question is, how is the use of interactive video game in the level of cognitive development of children? Objective number 2, identify the effect of interactive video game in teaching and learning activity for children. Study question, what is the effect of interactive video game in teaching and learning activity on children's cognitive development? The last objective is identify the challenge of using interactive video game for teacher in teaching and learning activity of children cognitive development. And the last study question, what are challenges of using interactive video game in teaching and learning activity for children cognitive development? Slide, literature research by using James Piaget theory. James Piaget explained that children can develop an understanding for their world actively and through for state of cognitive development. Soundtrack 27. Piaget theory explained their cognitive development follows several states, namely sensory motor, operational state, concrete operational state, followed by formal operational state. And the last, according to him, cognitive development is a genetic process. The next is peer-reviewed study. According to Nurdiana Tasripin and Kamaria Abu Bakar 2019, the study is an interactive game of learning pre-numbers in preschool mathematics education. The results show that this interactive game can have a positive effect of children mathematics learning. Last, according to Wan and Yunus 2017, cognitive skills are important to improve a person's concentration because their development mental activity as a remembering, categorizing, planning, reasoning, solving problem, creative and imaginations. Okay, next is research design. First is population example. School in Borough district responded are teacher and focus on 18 teacher in Bera. Next is research instrument. Instrument in the form of questionnaire. Questionnaire contain two parts, namely A and B. Part A have 6 questions and part B have 3 different question parts. Using a Likert scale such as strongly disagree, disagree, agree and strongly agree. The last is reliability, viability. A pilot study using Combat Alpha Descriptive Statistics SPSS version 28. The last is finding. All of my objective, I choose the high and low statement. For the first objective, review the using of interactive video game on children cognitive development. Statement, children can solve problem quickly. Strong disagree is 0 and disagree is 1 and percent 1.3% and agree is 37 and the percent is 46.3%. Strongly agree is 42 and the percent is 52.5 and the mean is 30.51 and the level is high. Next is level low. The statement is easy to hear interaction. Strongly disagree is 2. The percent is 2.5%. Disagree is 10 and the percent is 12.5% and the agree is 37. The percent is 46.3%. Strongly agree is 31 and the percent is 38.8% and the mean is 3.21. Next finding, identify the impact of interactive video game in teaching and learning activity for children. The statement is can trigger children interest to learn. The strongly disagree is 2 and the percent is 2.5%. Disagree is 3 and the percent is 3.8%. Agree is 32 and the percent is 14%. And strongly agree is 43 and the percent is 53.8 and the mean is 3.45 and the statement is level is high. Level low, this statement is can improve children's cognitive development skill. Strongly disagree is 7. The percent is 2.5%. Disagree is 27. The percent is 3.8%. Agree is 32 and the percent is 40%. Strongly agree is 10 and the percent is 53.8% and the mean is 2.66. And the last is identify the challenge of using interactive video game for teaching in teaching and learning activity for children cognitive development. The statement is of technology tool facility. Strongly disagree is 1. The percent is 1.3%. Disagree is 2. The percent is 2.5%. Agree is 43 and the percent is 53.8%. Strongly agree is 34 and the percent is 42.5% and the mean is 3.38. The statement very high. And the low statement is least skilled in using application on the internet. Strongly disagree is 3 and the percent is 3.8%. Disagree is 11. The percent is 13.8%. Agree has 55 and the percent is 56.3%. Strongly agree is 21 and the percent is 26.3%. The mean is 3.5 and the last is discussion. The usage of interactive video game for children will be more proficient in the using of technology by applying learning using digital media. And the number 2 is the internet is twice as good as traditional communication system. And the last is learning using video element is able to transform start image into moving object, and the addition for animation allow the display for content to be present more clear. That's all for me, and thank you very much.
Very much, Ms. Noor Abahia. Now that was a video presentation. So we have now reached the end of our parallel session for the second International Conference for Education. Once again, UCYP would like to thank all presenters and participants for their involvement in making this conference a success. Before we end, I'd like to invite everyone to turn on their videos for a short video session, for a short photo session. Could everyone just turn on their videos for a while? Thank you. Right, in 3, 2, 1, big smiles, everyone. And freestyle. With the Korean heart and everything like that. Once again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us in this second International Conference on Education, and we really hope to see you in our next conference. Thank you, stay safe, and have a pleasant day ahead. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.